Hey everybody, it's Cass and Core TV. It's your girl, Miss Public Info here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of the most high-profile cases going on around the country. I didn't intend to come to you this weekend, but there is a lot going on, so I think I need to come to you and let you know what's happening. We do have a couple of updates, but we're going to talk about a couple of things. One, we're going to talk about the missing children in Virginia. We're going to talk about this response from Lucian Grange, UMG, to the Drake lawsuit, the latest that I gave you guys on Thursday. We're also going to talk about Sean Kingston and his mother being sentenced for their crimes. We'll get into that. And I think we are also, oh my goodness, how can I forget? We're also going to talk about the CEO astronomer Andy Byron potentially suing Coldplay. So let's just get into it and start with all of this. Now, we're going to start with something serious because nothing is more serious than missing children. So, y- this kid here, his name is um Demonte Elijah, I believe, Pittman Jr. His photo has been going around and round on social media for the last few days. They say that I've seen a couple of different accounts. This particular poster that I have here says that he had been missing since August 4th. Another poster that I saw said that he had been missing since August 6th. Now, here you see that he is missing from the Virginia area. We're going to get into that in a minute. It says that the Hampton Police Department is asking for the public's urgent assistance in locating DeMonte Elijah Pittman Jr. He's 14 years old. It goes into the fact that the case um, has been open and active, and that the police department is asking for help. He's a 14-year-old male, and it describes him and it talks about the awareness and all of that. Now, that's Demonte Pittman. Now, when I went on, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Now, when I went on to the Missing and Exploited Children's website, that was missing. That there was a link where it used to be, but that particular poster was missing. Then I started going onto Facebook and I saw all of these different posters. People have been putting them up and saying that this kid is missing. Obviously, Chris Brown is also, put up something on his social media about all the missing kids in Virginia. Chris Brown is from the DMV area, which is an acronym for those who don't know, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. He is from the DMV area, so this would stand for reason why he would be concerned, just in general, but also, of course, he's a father as well. So, um, I began to get really curious about it. So then I looked and went and just looked at the different stories that were popping up about it, and noticed that the Hampton Police Department, as of a day ago, said that this is a hoax, that this particular posting here is a hoax. I have seen this everywhere on social media, and they said this is a hoax, that this kid is not missing, that there isn't some mass viral abduction of children going on in Virginia, that there are obviously cases of abductions in Virginia, but that there isn't something that is massively viral and unusual that's happening in Virginia. So I'm just going to let that sit there and say that. But then I'm going to follow this up with, we all know that there is a problem in this country as it relates to missing and exploited Black children, that Black children are missing and exploited at very disproportionate rates. And I am going to share my screen again, and I'm speaking from this particular piece of literature I have here. And these are the most recent numbers, and recent as it relates to missing and exploited Black children, that they are at a higher rate of representation than the rest of the population. Um, that missing and exploited Black children are more likely to be initially classified as simple runaways, and that we don't get the Amber Alerts that other children get automatically without missing a beat, specifically white children. So this is the reason this particular posting went up and kind of went viral, because Black people are very cognizant of the fact that our children do not receive the same attention when they are missing. And then also, because of this, something in California called Ebony Alerts. Actually, I think it's nationwide, but something here. I live in California. I think it's just here in California, actually. But something called Ebony, the Ebony Alert System, had been created for Black missing and exploited children. And this system basically alerts. It responds to these disparities. We here have implemented into the system to focus on missing Black children and women as well. It's intended to improve these cases so that this is no longer such a large disparity. But the other thing that is a problem with missing and exploited Black children nationwide is the media, um, the disparities in the media attention that they get. They don't get the same attention that other cases get, that other children, missing children receive in these particular cases. So a lot of times you will hear about it. By the time you hear about a missing Black girl or missing Black boy, the kid has been missing for maybe a month. They really do not give the same kind of attention. Now, the other reason why I'm mentioning this is the fact that people are very skeptical of the police department, coming forth and saying, oh, no, this is a hoax. Oh, no, this isn't true. Because it makes some folks are saying, well, they could be saying that because it makes their department look like they're not doing their job. Why are there so many missing children in your particular area? Are you all not doing your job? Also, it makes people feel like they're just trying to hide it so that their numbers, in terms of missing children, crime rates, and all of that, don't go up. And I won't pretend like that isn't something that has happened in the past, because we have had situations where, government agencies, law enforcement agencies have lied about their numbers, or, been dishonest about their numbers when it comes to crime, missing children, other statistics, in order to stay, below this sort of widening bar of crime in their particular area for whatever the reasons are. And so some people are also looking at this in that sort of framework, in terms of, well, why is it that this kid's picture has been everywhere on the internet, has been everywhere on social media, it's been everywhere, his name, everything, and yet, here we are, you all are saying this isn't true. Now, is artificial intelligence a real thing? It is. Obviously, people are making up entire, relationships, or even with AI, right? So it is, possible that this entire posting could be um a fake, and that this is, come to be because of the fact that people want to sort of bring more attention to, missing Black children just in general. So maybe they put this out to sort of, fan the flames and get, things moving in that regard. Obviously, any kind of hoax as it relates to a child being missing is not good at all. And it's certainly, there are other ways to get the attention out there, but I think, it's good that we're talking about missing Black children. Now, it is no secret that in the District of Columbia, that there were missing Black girls in DC, missing and being snatched off the streets at alarming rates. Not even 10 years ago, not even 5 years ago. This was a thing. So, although the Virginia Police Department, the Virginia Police Department may want to say, well, no, this isn't a thing, this isn't a hoax. we can't pretend like this isn't a problem, because it is, and it is already at a screeching rate of a problem at this moment. So I wanted to do this. I wanted to cover this today because I wanted to bring attention to the fact that Black missing and exploited children is a thing, and that we should not shy away from talking about it, from creating awareness about it. But I also wanted to make other people aware that this kid, if it is a real kid, we don't know, Demonte Elijah Pittman Jr., that police are saying that this is a hoax. This isn't even a real missing persons case, and that some of the postings that you're seeing are hoax postings. Now, not because people who are sharing it genuinely because they think Devontae is really missing, but the creation of the posting itself, they're saying that this isn't real and that there really is not an issue here. And the reason I mentioned that this particular posting that I showed you was no longer on the missing and exploited children's website is because normally when those postings are taken down, it's because the child has been found. And so I went further to see if Demonte Elijah Pittman Jr. had been found. And he had not been found. So this lends to the fact that this posting is likely a hoax. That's probably true. But what is not a hoax is the fact that Black exploited and missing children go missing at alarming rates and go missing without Amber Alerts, uh, unlike their white missing exploited children, or even Latino missing and exploited children. Black children are the last to be talked about on the news cycle. Also, we've had to create our own Ebony Alert system in order here in California, in order to have some sort of equity as it relates to Black missing and exploited children awareness. So just wanted to cover that. We're going to move on now, but um, let us move on to Sean Kingston. So Sean Kingston and his mother, let me get this up, guys. It is really very interesting, this whole situation going on with Sean Kingston and his mother. Sean Kingston, as you know, and his mother, Janice, they were both actually in trouble here. Just uh, they were actually both actually went to trial back in March for their participation in a conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Now, this stemmed from them purportedly sort of going to buy luxury items, and they defrauded the store that they were actually buying the items from. And they was saying that they were going to, pay for these things. Now, during trial, they admitted to falsifying wires to, this is the mother actually, she admitted to falsifying wires to protect her son from scammers by delaying payments for the luxury items. Sean Kingston declined to testify in her trial. But a key piece of evidence in the trial was a text that Kingston sent to his mother that read, and quote, "I told you to make a fake receipt," followed by, "so it looks like the transfer will be there in a couple of days." Now, the jeweler that they were actually, defrauding, he's from Fort Lauderdale. His name is Moshe Edery. He testified that he had given Sean Kingston a Ad, Audemars Piguet watch for around $285,000. Of course, I just butchered that name. So excuse me for the mispronunciation, but those of you who are jewelry aficionados, please let us know in the comments how to correctly pronounce that luxury item. But he gave him the watch that was worth $285,000 in exchange for introducing him to other celebrities. So Mr. Edery was really just trying to boost his business. He thought this would be a good way to do it. But after he did this, after Sean Kingston allegedly provided a screenshot of a falsified wire transfer, Edery was as a result, fired from his job, and then he was blacklisted on the jeweler in the jeweler industry. He said it ruined his career. Essentially, he's not been able to recover from that, which is really unfortunate. Now, Sean Kingston received 3.5 years. He was sentenced to 3.5 years. His mother was sentenced to 5 years and 3 years probation. And this was they were both found guilty of wire fraud. This was a $1 million wire fraud case. Each of the counts that they were actually charged with, each carried a 20-year maximum sentence in federal prison. Of course, Sean Kingston is best known for Beautiful Girls, which topped the Billboard 100. We all know who he is. He's collaborated with the best of them, including Bieber, Nicki Minaj, Chris Brown. But originally, how all of this popped off, he and his mother were arrested in May of 2024 on theft charges, followed by a SWAT raid rather, of his South Florida mansion. The raids came after Kingston was hit with a lawsuit for allegedly not paying for the luxury items. And then 2 months later, they were both indicted in Miami federal court and charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. Now, they were actually convicted of that 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Prosecutors have accused them during the trial phase. They accused them of defrauding victim sellers of high-end specialty vehicles, jewelry, and other goods bought with fraudulent documents. And they stated that the pair would actually make the payments through banks, but they would never actually go through, that the payments actually would never go through. And it allowed them to accrue more than $1 million in property. This is very terrible. But that's just how it is. And of course, we won't be seeing Mr. Kingston for a while because he will be, you know, serving his time and, paying his debt to society. So let's move on from there. I hate to hear it. I hate to see it. This is very similar what we saw with the one kid, the cash out kid, um, who the cash out guy, rather, the rapper Cash Out, who actually went to prison for what was it? It was human trafficking, pimping, along with his mother and his cousin. And he went for life. The mother got, I think, 60 or so years or something, somewhere around that, and maybe a little less than that. And the cousin also went for life. So these, a lot of these celebrities, young celebrities, are getting into the crime, conspiracy crime businesses, if you will, with their parents, mothers specifically, and going to prison. You mothers, stop that. I'm not a mother, so that's why I say you mothers. But I do know that mothers who are mothers of sons, they have close relationships with their sons and they want to have their back to the end, to the end, to the end. But let me tell you, you do not allow a child, I don't care who it might be, to get you wrapped up into something that is going to send you to prison for the rest of your natural life, because you will be doing that time by yourself, just as they will be doing that time by themselves. It's just not a good thing to get into, guys. Organized crime, it's just not good. Yeah, the cash out guy, he was convicted of the RICO that they tried to get, same RICO. Okay. We won't mention who, but the same RICO. And organized crime is not good. Did we learn nothing from the mafia? Nothing at all. Many of those people are still in prison now and will be for the rest of their days. Okay, let us move on. Now, we are also going to talk about, I just can't believe, well, let's start with this. So let's start with Drake and Lucian Grange. Now, just the other day, I talked to you guys about Drake and the UMG lawsuit that he has. He has a lawsuit, to refresh. He has a lawsuit against UMG regarding the Just Not Like Us record by Kendrick Lamar. Drake and Kendrick Lamar are both label mates in terms of the fact that Lamar is under Interscope, Drake is under Republic. and UMG, Universal Music Group, actually owns both of those labels. So Drake has launched a lawsuit against UMG saying, hey, you backed this song Just Not Like Us to ruin my reputation. The song refers to me as a certified pedophile. There is no proof that I'm any of those things. There's never been anything there. You knew that the song mentioned that. You knew that there wasn't any proof, and yet you backed this song with millions of dollars. You backed this song on Spotify to make it the massive hit that it was. And he's really saying that Lucian Grange, the top dog, the chief at UMG, knew about all of this, that this was extremely purposeful on UMG's behalf, and that this was a concerted effort, that this was some sort of collusion within UMG to ruin his career. And he, as of last week, had actually in court requested, and very, very adamantly, I might add, using some very strong legal language to do so, but had requested documents that UMG had between Lamar and UMG, talking about things of the nature of Lamar having had an issue with domestic violence against his wife in the past, that he had to utilize a crisis management team to sort of clean up the work. Now, these are also lyrics within the Family Matters song that Drake used during he and Lamar's very public rap battle that Just Not Like Us was sort of born out of. And in that Family Matters song, he talks about the fact that Kendrick Lamar is a known domestic violence offender, that he abuses his wife and all of that. Now, Drake is saying, based upon those facts, that there are documents that Lucian Grange, UMG have that prove that that is true, that Kendrick Lamar has this issue. And why didn't they back the Family Matters song? The Family Matters song is actually factual versus the Just Not Like Us song, which he is saying is full of lies, specifically the pedophile part. So that is the reason why he's sort of fighting this the way that he is. He's saying that they, both sort of colluded, meaning UMG, under Lucian Grange. And of course, Kendrick Lamar saying that they got behind the song on purpose to sort of ruin his reputation and ruin his career. Now, Lucian Grange has since replied to this this lawsuit and says, as you can see here, that it's ridiculous, that he confirms that, yeah, we bought the recorded music, we bought the recorded music and publishing catalogs, but in terms of sort of trying to ruin your career, this isn't so. What are you talking about? Now, Lucian Grange has filed a sworn declaration pushing back against Drake's attempts to force him to provide documents in the defamation suit. He describes the claims in that suit as farcical and groundless. And then in the declaration, which was actually filed on, I believe, Thursday in U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York, a very popular district, as we all know, Grange states that he had never heard the recording, Just Not Like Us, or Not Like Us, excuse me, nor ever saw the corresponding cover art or the music video, because that's another thing. The cover art, Drake has said earlier in the hearing for the UMG lawsuit, that the cover art, which actually shows, Drake's home, and then it has the little red dots that are very well known as sort of pointing out sexual offenders in a particular area, sort of, again, lending to the fact that Drake is some sort of pedophile or whatnot. The cover art has ruined his reputation. He says also that the cover art sort of, pinpoints where he lives, there in Toronto. That also after this, there was a very scary situation, a shooting at his house where one of his bodyguards were actually shot because some people came by his house shooting, and his bodyguard ended up being hit because of it. So he says this cover art also led to a lot of violence and a lot of risks for safety for himself, for his family as well, and as well as the people that he employs. But I would like to note the fact that, before all of this happened, Drake, people knew in Toronto. I don't live in Toronto, I'm here in LA, but it has been widely known that Drake's home is very much a sort of, a publicity stop point. Like people know where he lives there in Toronto. People often pass by. He's not been shy prior to the Just Not Like Us record. He's not been shy about people knowing that where he lives or anything like that. So, this may be a reason, another reason why Universal feels like this is sort of, ridiculous as well. Grange went on to say, while it is my part of my role, I have financial oversight of and responsibility for UMG's global businesses, the proposition that I was involved in, much less responsible for reviewing and approving the content of Not Like Us, its cover art or music video, or for determining or directing the promotion of those materials is groundless and indeed ridiculous. So basically, in layman's terms, what he's saying is, yes, I'm the chief of UMG. Yes, I'm responsible for the financial oversight of UMG's global businesses. But if you think that, a guy in my position is going around approving content and cover art for, diss track, hits, I'm not doing that. Or music videos. I'm too high on the list. He's like, I'm too high on the pay grade to actually be, approving music videos, promotion items, and promotional materials. No, that had nothing to do with me, is what he's saying. He's saying, no. Now, you got me as it relates to buying the rights of the song and all of that. But as it relates to some of this other stuff, dude, you're out of sync. There is what he's saying. Um, and I just think it's interesting. Obviously, if you have, spent any time looking at my channel, you know that I have a little bit of biasness as it relates to the Drake UMG thing, because I am a big time K Dot fan. I've never been much of a Drake fan, as hard as that might be to believe, because he's so massively popular. But I just never have been. I think I really enjoyed the first album he had, You the Best, like that blew him up. The other albums, I can't even tell you the names of the Drake albums because I'm not a real big Drake fan, but I won't say that he doesn't have some snappy poppy hits or whatever. But I am a roundaway LA fillet, and so I definitely am a K Dot fan. In pretty much all West Coast rap music, just in general. So, not to make this an East Coast West Coast thing. There's a lot of East Coast rap that I love, believe that. But I'm just saying, like, as it relates to Kenny and any artist, particularly Drake, who, in my opinion, has spent his career sort of reenacting the film CB4, props to Chris Rock and Alan Payne on that. I just really, it's hard for me to sort of take him seriously, it's, at all, but especially now after sort of, going after UMG, your own label, against a label mate, regarding a rap battle that you lost. People lose rap battles all the time. Also, it's up in the ethers of the opinion of hip hop culture as to who won anyway. People are still fighting about whether or not Nas or Jay-Z won their rap battle back in the late 90s, early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Nas won. A lot of y'all will fight me on that, and that's okay. But I was around for it, and that's how I feel about it. Just like some people think that Drake won their rap battle because that's their person or that's how they feel about it. And I think Kenny did. You know what I mean? I think even if you're not a fan of either of them, you would have to say that Kenny won. Maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't think that, but that's just how I feel. But aside from all of that, I just think it's a little bit wild to take it this far. Um, a lot of people in rap battles say a lot of different things. I mean, they go grimy. That's why they're called rap battles. Um, and I thought this one was really unique because of the fact that it was getting so much worldwide attention. Usually, rap battles don't get worldwide attention, they get the attention of the hip hop culture. But everybody and their mama knew about this rap battle. I mean, this was like, grandma and them knew about it, auntie and them that's like, 85 years old, they knew about it. Like everyone knew about it. So it was fun. Rap battles are supposed to be competitive. Your MCs, that's how it's supposed to go. But I don't know. In the declaration, Grange also directly addressed Drake's allegations, stating that the claim he was behind a scheme to devalue Drake's brand through the release and promotion of the record, Not Like Us. He says it makes no sense due to the fact that UMG, a company that he runs, he says that they have invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Drake's career, including long-standing and critical financial support for his recording career. He says that the purchase and ownership of the bulk of his actual recording catalog and the purchase of his music and publishing rights has happened under his watch there at Universal. He further explained, he goes on, he says that he runs a publicly traded multi-billion dollar multinational corporation whose operations in over 60 countries covering nearly 200 markets ultimately report up to him. So, and essentially, he's saying, like, listen, this is just so ridiculous. This is conspiratorial. I am a guy that runs a multi-billion dollar company. Why would I have time to get into this pettiness of the fray here? Also, the thing that Drake is complaining about as it relates to Kendrick Lamar, we've done the same for him in terms of investing hundreds of millions of dollars. We have financed his entire career. We have purchased and we have ownership of the bulk of his recording catalog. What is this guy talking about? And again, if you talk to somebody who is not a Drake fan or they just have different feelings about him, they'll tell you that this is par for course, excuse me, as it relates to Drake. That when he loses, he gets a little bit despondent and he gets upset when, things don't really sort of go his way. So that's the current guys on the Drake UMG of it all. We're gonna continue on with this, but like I said um in the last episode, I really think this is going to end up being resolved out of school. This is usually how it goes. I don't think this is going to make the trial phase, and that you can hear from Mr. Grange. He is not, as my great grandmother and my grandmother say, or my great grandmother used to say, and my grandmother, who is 90, nearly 90, used to say, he is not stunting Drake. Lucian is not studying Drake, okay? It is just not important to him. Now let's move on to, I think this is going to be our last story for the day. Let's move on to Andy Byron. Now, Andy Byron is the CEO of the astronomy company. He is the guy who, he was caught up in the Coldplay of it all, the Coldplay concert where he and this woman here, I can't remember her name, but she's like the chief people officer of this astronomy company that Andy Byron used to be the CEO of. He's no longer because he resigned after he was at this Coldplay concert and they get caught on the Chris Martin Coldplay Kiss Cam. And when they're caught on the kid the Chris Martin kid Coldplay Kiss Cam, they immediately turn around. You can see in the second frame here that she turns around, so her face is hidden, and Andy Byron is nowhere to be seen because he immediately dropped down to the ground so no one can see him. Now, why did they do this? They did this, guys, because they're both married to other people. So they were actually carrying on an affair, unbeknownst to their wife and husband, respectively, excuse me. Andy Cohen has not Andy Cohen, Andy Byron. My goodness, Andy Byron has since his wife has since filed for the divorce. I'm not sure about this woman, the chief people officer, but Andy Byron also ended up resigning from the job. I think she may have as well. But now, guys, now what is going on is even more funny. Let me get my other screen up here because I just find this hilarious because this is going to go into the long list of the frivolous that is out there. So essentially, let's get here. Goodness. Essentially, Andy Byron is now that's my here. Maybe can turn this, do it like this. Um, Andy Byron is actually wanting to sue um Coldplay, Chris Martin for defamation. That is essentially what he is saying. He wants to sue Chris Martin. He wants to sue Chris Martin. He says that Chris Martin essentially made him a meme. He said that he is planning to sue. Now, people who are in the know of this situation say that there's actually no way for him to do that. This is frivolous. Chris Martin actually responded to this. He laughed at it and called it ridiculous. And I would agree. There is no way that he can sue this guy. Another complaint of Andy Byron is the fact that, they didn't have permission to actually do this, that they didn't have permission um, to take the video of him, that it should not have happened, that he was there to have a good time, that he was there to listen to the music, that this should not have been allowed. But, sir, this is the same situation. If you guys saw my episode that I did with Shannon Sharp and the woman who um, from the Usher concert that sued Shannon Sharp, or tried to sue Shannon Sharp, and tried to sue Ocho Cinco, that I said that there is no way that he could actually sue um, either of them because you came to the concert on your own. I actually made a joke when I was talking about the Shannon Sharp Ocho Cinco lawsuit. This was the Gemalita Tillman lawsuit that was resolved just a few weeks ago, and she received no monies, even though everyone is sort of speculating. It was clearly stated that she received no financial monies in this situation. But I made a joke actually and said, well, why isn't she suing Usher? Because he's the one that grabbed her out of the audience. But it was a joke because she could never sue Usher. It would be a frivolous lawsuit because of the fact you chose to go to the concert. When Usher grabbed you out of the aisle or whatever it is, then you wanted to participate in this little activity he had going on, and everybody knows what the activity is. I would say the same thing exists for the Chris Martin Coldplay concert with this guy, Andy Byron. Andy is saying, well, I didn't agree to be on camera. But if you walk into an arena, that arena that Coldplay was playing had to be hundreds of thousands of people there. So if you walk into a concert venue or an arena like that, you have to know that there's going to be flash photography. And even if you don't, they have it printed someplace in the arena. I've been in publicity for many, many years, in particular, entertainment, television, and film. And I can tell you, and live entertainment as well. I've worked the American Music Awards, I've worked the Golden Globes, and I can tell you, if you are a person that walks into a space where there are, musicians, cameras, anything like that, artists or anything like that, there's signage that says you are agreeing to be put on camera. You are agreeing to for your photo to be shown. You are agreeing to be filmed when you step foot into those venues. So therefore, Andy Byron being caught up in being seen smooching away with his side chick at the time, the chief people's officer of his company, is no one's fault but their own if they did not want to be photographed or filmed in that moment. This is not anyone else's fault. Now, let me go to this here. I wanted to look at this. Um, Now, yeah, this is just sort of like what Andy Byron is planning to do. He's trying to file this lawsuit against Coldplay, citing invasion of privacy and emotional distress. He's also blaming Chris Martin, saying that there was a massive fallout from his the Kiss Cam fiasco. The woman's name is Kristen. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is what it is. The woman's name is Kristen Cabot. That's the woman that he was with. That there was a massive fallout between the two, and that this is somehow Chris Martin's fault. He goes on to say, now this is actually, let's see, I think this is, yes, this is actually a comment from Chris Martin's side. And he says that, I think this is Chris Martin's attorney, who was saying, if we are getting creative, he says, a possible claim would be for defamation, specifically as it relates to Chris Martin characterizing the two as having an affair. As having an affair. The attorney said. A source close to Byron told Page Six that he didn't consent to being filmed or publicly humiliated, and that he thinks Coldplay made him a mean. And then Chris Martin's attorney comes back and explained that in order to actually prove defamation in this particular case, that Byron would have to demonstrate that there was not actually an affair. There was no affair. So essentially, dude, you don't have a shot and a snowball's chance in heck of ever, suing Chris Martin for this situation, because you would have to basically prove that there was no affair, but you were having an affair. This was not your wife. You were married at the time. She was married at the time. And you all acted as though, once you got caught in that kiss cam, you guys acted as though you had been caught with a canary in your mouth. Oh, just sad. And this is why marriage these days have so much unseriousness to it. It's so sad. I'm not married. I know you guys see like my rings and everything. I'm not married. I just like jewelry, so I wear rings all the time. But a lot of people just find that being married is so unserious. I still think that marriage is very serious. And, these are just these people, not taking it seriously. But because of what happened, like a lot of people say, see, I told you, marriage is for suckers. That's what they say. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining Cast and Court TV this Saturday evening. This is your girl, Miss Public Info, and we'll be back later this weekend, maybe just on Monday, with another episode. We appreciate you. Enjoy the weekend. Take it easy, and please stay out of trouble. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Peace.